You're looking live at the Music City, Nashville, Tennessee, where squash's finest are gathered to see where they'll be selected in the first ever National Squash League Draft. My name is Jackson Bragman. The host of the Rally Report podcast is alongside a former college squash standout for the Wesleyan Cardinals, Sean Choi. Sean, thank you for joining me on a beautiful Saturday night here in Nashville, Tennessee, and we're about to get things underway.
Thanks, Jackson. What an exciting time to be a squash fan as we commence the first ever squash draft. Big thank you to everyone tuning in right now. The live stream should be quite the evening for the owners to, I'm curious to see what type of due diligence they've done, if there were any last minute changes in the picks since yesterday's exciting USA versus World event. But yeah, now on to the main event on the evening. Going to pass it back over to our MC, Ryan Leslie.
All right, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the inaugural National Squash League Draft here in Nashville, Tennessee. We had a couple of incredible all-star exhibition matches for you over the last couple of days. And if you missed out on the action, don't worry, we got you covered. Here's a clip of last night's electric victory as Team USA took down Team World on the final match point.
Now go out there and show me how you do things. Show me how you live. Show me how you fight.
To show you how I fight?
Yeah. Show me who the f*** you are.
Okay. Just make it short.
That right there is what the NSL is all about and what we all can expect for this upcoming season. So, what are we doing here? Well, we are here to draft. We have 6 total cities participating in the NSL with a pool of 40 players to choose from. Tonight, there will be 4 total rounds of picking, and we have a snake-style draft. So what that means is that the team that picks first overall in round 1 will pick last in round 2. And if you picked last in round 1, you pick first in round 2. Throughout the course of the season, tonight, six cities, 4 rounds. What that means is 24 players are being picked out of 40, so there's 16 left over. Those players will go on the waiver wire and are eligible to be picked up throughout the course of the season. Also, throughout the course of the season, teams are allowed to make 1 trade, and at the end of the year, teams are allowed to keep 1 player for the following season. So, with all of that said, last night we had the draft lottery to determine the order. Right now, we're going to go through who's picking, so I need you to make noise when you hear your city's name to show support of that team. Here we go. Drafting first overall are the Atlanta Tornadoes. Second overall is the Louisville Colts. Drafting third are the Nashville Crushers. Drafting fourth is the city that never sleeps, the New York Knights. Drafting fifth are the Newport Dragons. And last, but certainly not least, are the Chicago Grizzlies. With that said, the stage is set, the players are ready, the cities are ready. Who's ready to draft? All right, here we go. We're going to get it underway. Atlanta Tornadoes, you are up. 3 minutes on the clock. Let's draft.
The Atlanta Tornadoes are on the clock here in Nashville at the NSL Draft. And Sean Choi, it is really a 2-man race at the top for the first overall pick. It has been highly debated, highly disputed over the past several weeks and months since these two players declared for the NSL draft. It is largely going to come down to the Frenchman, Victor Crouin, number 11 in the world, and number 16 in the world from Cairo, Egypt, Yusuf Ibrahim, two gentlemen that partook in the Team USA versus Team World exhibition yesterday. The owners were all in attendance. They got to see these two players firsthand. Who do you favor, Sean Choi, when it comes down to the first overall pick in the draft this year?
Wow, you're really putting me on the spot here, Jackson. You really can't go wrong with either picks. Two very different, contrasting styles of play, with Victor promoting a more defensive style, but also his attacking abilities are very underrated. But also Yusuf, nickname gunslinger. You really can't go wrong with that pick either. How about you, Jackson? What do you think?
I am going to lean towards Victor Crouin, two of the world's finest players. A guy like Yusuf Ibrahim can beat any player in the world on his day. I just think that Victor's level is a bit too strong right now, Sean Choi. I think that Victor's body of work over the past couple of months, a 3-0 victory over Paul Call en route to a semifinal appearance at the Platinum event in New York City, the Tournament of Champions, as well as a quarterfinal finish last week at the Windy City Open in Chicago. You will seldom find a better straight line hitter than a guy like Victor Crouin. You will have a hard time finding someone more consistent than Victor Crouin, fitter than Victor Crouin, mentally stronger than Victor Crouin. And then, as we mentioned on the broadcast yesterday, Victor has added this element to his game where he's really opened up the court. He's started to work his opponents corner to corner and add this width and add an excellent cross court to his game, in addition to his straight line hitting. So now you're seeing a lot of boasts off the volleys and triple boasts and attacking, as well as cross-court opportunities for Victor that have really elevated his game, as well as a little bit of deception, keeping his opponents guessing. So I favor Victor. I'm going to put you on the spot now. I know you're kind of hemming and hawing back and forth. When it comes down to Atlanta, what they should do, where do you lean?
I got to go with you. I think Victor has got to be the choice. He's past couple months shows exactly what type of caliber player he is. So yeah, super curious to see what Atlanta have decided and what type of reasoning they have behind it.
Yeah, absolutely. And it will be interesting to see, looking a little bit further down the draft board and some of these other first round prospects. In terms of the third overall pick, a lot of people are saying the draft really starts at 3, and that's where a lot of the drama is going to build up. We have a lot of very talented U.S. players participating this year. The 3 gentlemen that partook in the exhibition yesterday, for instance, are all on board. So we have Timmy Brownell, we have Spencer Lovejoy, we have Andrew Douglas, as well as Shah Jahan Khan, as well as Todd Harity participating this year. So I think that when you look at that number 3 spot, it's going to be very interesting to see if one of those U.S. players come off the board in the National Squash League. And we are moments away from pick number 1 here from Nashville for the Atlanta Tornadoes. And it will be fascinating to see, once again, if one of these U.S. players are going to be picked, or if a guy like Auguste Dessort, who's top 30 in the world, will be taken. The Frenchman, and who's really mentally strong, likes to play some mind games, and is very emotionally intelligent when it comes to that. It looks like the pick is in for Atlanta. So let's go back down to MC Ryan Leslie for the first ever pick in the history of the National Squash League draft.
Thanks, guys. I am here, team owner of the Atlanta Tornadoes, Chad Hood, with the first overall pick. With the first overall pick of the National Squash League, the Atlanta Tornadoes select world-ranked number 16 from Egypt, Yusuf Ibrahim.
Got me? I gotta go back down. I have to go back down.
Louisville Colts, you are on the clock. All right, guys. I am here with team owner of the Atlanta Tornadoes, Chad Hood. Chad, I think I saw a little bit of surprise from people. What was the mindset going here as the first overall pick? You take Yusuf Ibrahim.
Well, we had a couple things we had to consider. We had to consider where scheduling, when people could play, etc. And the first two players in this pick, obviously Victor and Yusuf, you can't go wrong. And after kind of watching this weekend and the way Yusuf played, certainly very dynamic in scoring and shooting, but the defense was incredible. So I think it's going to be a super pick for us.
And ladies and gentlemen, here, first overall pick ever of the National Squash League Draft, Yusuf Ibrahim. Yeah, and Yusuf turned a quarter of a century today, so he is 25 years young. Yusuf, we talked about it a little bit the other night. You have incredible accomplishments in your young career, but now first overall pick to the Atlanta Tornadoes. How does that feel, and what are you going to bring to the National Squash League?
I'm honestly feeling great. I'm super excited. I'm super pumped for this. I think I had so much fun this weekend. The formats, the crowds, and I'm sure you guys had a great time, and we can hear the buzz even here. I'm so excited for this. This feels awesome. I've got goosebumps right now. So yeah, I can't wait to compete for Atlanta. I've never been there, and it's great to just go explore a new city, and hopefully get a strong team to win this whole thing. And it's a good start. Yeah.
There we go. Atlanta Tornadoes with the first overall pick, Yusuf Ibrahim. They will now have to wait 11 more picks before they can make their second pick. Louisville Colts are on the clock.
Let's see who you take.
Yeah, they're doing multiple cameras.
The first selection in the history of the National Squash League, Sean. And a bit of a surprise, as was indicated, the birthday boy, as Ryan Leslie made it known. And what a birthday treat for Yusuf Ibrahim here tonight. His attacking playing style coming to the NSL. And we've really put these players into two different categories when it comes to the National Squash League: attacking players and defensive players. And with the new rules, with the clock, with the power play rules that we'll discuss further as the night goes on, both are essential. So Atlanta obviously targeting an attacking player early on. What do you think of the selection?
Hey, I think what a lot of owners are thinking about is the difference between offense or defense. Really, offense is favored. What we kind of got to notice yesterday was how also tactical or defense. So we'll be curious to see what Atlanta does for the next series of picks with the upside that Yusuf brings to the table. He really does have the biggest upside there with how many power plays on whole person and focus.
Absolutely. And certainly for the Colts here, it's looking like Victor Cruan. That seems to be the most likely selection, a guy that has been as high as 7 in the world, currently number 11. And for my money, by the end of the year, he's going to be right back in that top 7, top 8 range. He's playing the best squash he has of his career. Graduated from Harvard a few short years ago and was arch rivals with Yusuf Ibrahim for much of his time in college squash. Both of their senior years, Yusuf Ibrahim and Victor Cruan, top 20 players in the world, but they actually played in the finals of the CSA individuals competition. So these two guys have a long and storied rivalry and will continue in the NSL more likely than not. So really fascinated to see if Victor Cruan will be the second selection here. And then it gets interesting because once it comes to pick number 3, that's where the draft is really going to start, and we're going to see some dramas and upsets here. So with that, the pick is in for the Colts, the Derby City Colts, and it's in to Ryan Leslie, the MC, to let us know who will be the second pick of the Nsl Draft. Send it.
All right, Yusuf Ibrahim is officially off the board. The Louisville Colts are the second overall pick. They are, by the way, the Derby City Colts, just so everyone's aware. But here we go. I'm with team owner Galen Weiss for the second overall pick. With the second overall pick of the National Squash League Draft, the Derby City Colts select world number 11 from France, Victor Cruan. Drafting third are the Nashville Crushers. Nashville, 3 minutes on the clock. I'm here with the Derby City team owner, Galen. Galen, Yusuf Ibrahim goes off the board, #1 overall, and Victor Cruin drops to you as a second overall pick. What was your mindset, and how happy are you to bring the Frenchman to Louisville?
Very happy you bring the little boy. He was my first pick, so I think it all worked out a little well. Watching Garrett Court, his tenacity, his style, his attitude, I was very happy to be able to get him. So, good job.
Here we are with Victor Cruin. Victor, you participated first ever time in the National Squash League draft. The first ever time that we ran this was actually in Louisville, so you're bringing it back on home. And what does it mean to you to represent the city of Louisville in the National Squash League?
Yeah, very honored to be part of the Louisville. I've heard a lot about the atmosphere out there, and yeah, I'm looking forward to you playing there and meeting all the members.
Well, I think Galen can bring you to the Kentucky Derby in May. Ladies and gentlemen, Louisville takes Victor Cruin off the board, second overall.
It's going the direction that is no surprise to pick #2, Victor Cruin. All of our players here tonight that you will see on the Nsl Draft that are in the green room at this time, sporting J Press clothing, one of the presenting sponsors of the National Squash League this year, to J Press. And what a good looking sweater for an outstanding young squash player, one of the most exciting players on the PSA World Tour, Victor Cruin, going #2 to the Derby Colts.
Yeah, I love this pick. I've been talked about Victor only that a part of this segment, but proven track record. That we've launched most proven track record of entire roster draft here. I'm really curious to see, the infamous journalists that Victor posts on social media after his game. So I would love to see what his genuine thoughts are of the Nsl League and how he analyzes it, given how much of an analytical speaker he was, how he strategized, and then shares with the public with them.
Absolutely. And the Louisville Boat Club will play host to the Derby City Colts this year. Victor Cruin will make the LBC his home for the 2024 NSL season. As we turn our attention to the third overall pick, and this is where it gets really exciting, Sean. There's no obvious selection here at #3. We mentioned at the top, he played at a very high level. I know John for 4 years at Wesleyan, and you know the game of squash like the back of your hand, and you know a lot of these prospects. Of the prospects that are in the green room today, you've interviewed the overwhelming majority of them on your show. So, Sean, I'm going to turn to you and ask you, who do you favor when it comes to the third overall pick? Because there's a lot of competition for this spot right here.
On paper, it's got to be Auguste Dessort from France, but for me personally, I think it's got to be Timmy Brownell, the sole American in the projected first round picks. He's a little bit quirky, a left-handed player, reads the game very well from what we saw yesterday, and you had it during the power plays. We saw how good he is, but just super excited to see it.
Right. Well, we'll see if Timmy is, in fact, third overall pick here as we throw it back down to Ryan Leslie to announce the pick for the hometown team here in Nashville, the Nashville Crushers. Mr. Leslie, take it away.
Hey guys, I'm here with my team in the city, and we're currently hosting drafting. I'm with team owner Jonathan Dyke to make the honor. With the third overall selection coming to the Nashville Crushers, they select the ranked number 31 from the United States of America, Timmy Brown.
got you.
All right, I'm here. Stay both of you here. I'm here with team owner. We're in Nashville. Jonathan, you are a huge part of this draft, making this thing happen. So, first of all, really big round of applause. Jonathan, last night you got to witness the first ever play here in Nashville, bringing the team, bringing the city, and you picked the guy that won the most crucial point to become the MVP last night. You lost the two guys off the top of the board, but those two guys have not ever played in the real NSL format. What was your feeling when Timmy came and basically kind of dropped into your lap?
I've been thinking about Timmy for a long time. Yeah. We've known each other for, over a year. I've been watching him play, and I think he's the original crusher. I know they call him the Draco. I'm your friend. Good, but Jimmy.
Timmy, you've been a huge part of the NSL as well. You represented it in Louisville, and now we're here in Nashville. What does it mean to you to now be the #1 overall pick to Nashville here where we are right now in Tennessee?
I mean, what a dream. Are you kidding me? I mean, 2 years ago, this league was just an idea. And so to see it come to fruition, I mean, this is more than I ever could have dreamed of. And I think it's just getting started. So what a dream. Let's go, Nashville. Come on.
All right, thanks, guys. We got the Predators, we got the Tennessee Titans, and we got the Nashville Crushers here in Tennessee. 4th overall pick are the New York Knights. You're on the clock.
All right, am I still live or good?
Sean, you absolutely nailed it. And despite being the 6th ranked PSA World Tour player in the NSL draft pool, Timmy Brownell is the 3rd overall pick in the NSL draft. And you can't help but smile and feel good for Timmy and what he's built here alongside Spencer Lovejoy and the team owners here today who are seeing their dream come to fruition. This is their baby. This is their brainchild. And here it is, the first ever NSL draft. And we're in for a huge wild ride this upcoming season. Timmy Brownell headed back here to Nashville in a little over a month for the Crushers' first gold match coming up here in the NSL regular season. And now we turn our attention to the 4th overall selection, and it will be the New York City Knights. This is the team that is, as we said, New York City. And so Peter Nichols is serving not as the owner of the team, but he's kind of the general manager slash club manager of this team. He will be coaching this team during their home match in New York City. And he's kind of working behind the scenes to help draft this team the way he wants. Obviously, a former world player and a world-class talent in our game. So it'll be interesting to see what direction he goes in here. What do you think Nickel is looking here when it comes to the New York City and their first overall pick?
There's so many good picks still remaining, especially in the first draft, part of it. But I mean, I kind of want to land a tendency on it. There's a strong allegiance to New York. Graduated from Columbia, and was there a decent amount of time to follow social media. So it'd be nice to see him have a further allegiance to New York City as he's a few more often. So we'd love to see him knowing how much of a caliber player he is. The relationship he has with Fram is sure, and a similar style it plays to squash, which is unique, and it's what we'll notice.
Right, Ramit Tandon, Columbia graduate, as we mentioned, and a former Ivy League Player of the Year. So he knows the college squash scene well, and he knows team squash, and that's going to be a big theme here tonight. As we saw the first 3 players off the board, former collegiate squash players, former members of the CSA, and so you want guys that are familiar with that team format when it comes to the NSL here. Ramit Tandon, extraordinarily fast playing style, super exciting, buzzes around the court, great hands. And it'll be interesting to see if that is potentially the direction that New York City is leaning here. As we have gotten word that the pick is in for the New York City Knights, let's go back down to our MC Ryan Leslie to announce back up this.
All right, we are back. Fourth overall pick is going to the New York Knights. With the fourth overall pick, the New York Knights select world-ranked number 26 from France, Auguste Dessort. Anyways, I'm here with team owner of the New York Knights, Elizabeth Hill. Elizabeth, you got to witness the first NSL last night. You're bringing a team to New York, and what was kind of going through your mind here? You got another two Frenchmen are off the board here. What was your process in picking your ghosts?
His teammates, and so we went with August. We're very excited.
All right, fantastic. Who's the sort of team off the New York Knights? We'll see you in round two. Thank you, Elizabeth. Fifth pick are the Newport Dragons. Newport, you are on the clock.
Auguste Dessort is off board, no surprise here, Sean. And we turn our attention now to the Newport Dragons with the fifth overall pick. Perhaps this could be Robin Tandon. Obviously, Dessort not in attendance tonight. Tandon, as he played Team World versus Team USA exhibition match last night here in Nashville at the Montgomery Bell Academy High School. Beautiful facility, by the way, and we love the fact that squash is growing in Nashville, and it is kind of finding its groove thanks to Phil Cunningham coming down and heading up that Montgomery Bell Academy team. So a huge shout out to him, who's been wonderful this weekend, helping out and hosting us. But Sean, we turn our attention now to pick number 5, and still a lot of very talented names remain on the board.
Yeah, I mean, quickly going back to Auguste Dessort, I haven't really mad about being incorrect, even though we should pushing Rabbit Tandon for that spot. But Auguste Dessort, really just give a little more information on him. He's part of the next generation of French players with Victor, Spech, and Bonnemolet. France has always been able to produce such good quality players with legends like Thierry Lintou and Gregory Gaultier. But a little bit about Dessort, he's tall, very good mover around the court, and also he's got a really good reach. And as the owner was mentioning, he's going to be a really good team player. He has a ability to get under players' skin. That's the type of player you need for this kind of format. We'll see how other players respond, and looking forward to what type of energy he brings to the team.
Very powerful player, so it will be interesting to see how that fares out, or how that fares for New York City. And Peter Nickel, we trust that he knows what he's doing as well. So now, pick number 5. I think that we're getting into the range where it's interesting to start talking about the U.S. level guys. And Spencer Lovejoy had a great performance last night in the Team USA versus Team World exhibition. His power play defense was the big thing that stood out to us, is when Team World called their power play, Spencer Lovejoy can't sub out. He's on an island for 2 minutes. The other team is able to score points while Team USA was not, and he withstood. He extended rallies, and he showed that he is scrappy, he is fit, and he is physical. And I think that is something that's so important when it comes to the NSL. We saw something similar from Andrew Douglas as well. So it will be interesting to see where those two guys go, as we see Ramit Tandon anxiously awaiting here in the green room. Let's see if he will be the pick by the Newport Dragons as we go back down to Ryan Leslie to announce pick number 5 of the Nsl Draft.
All right, we are here. I will take that envelope from you, Baird. The Newport Dragons, fifth overall pick, played here last night from India, world number 38, Ramit Tandon.
Oh, my bad.
You got a new city and a bottle of wine. Here, team owner Barrett Dyke of the Newport Dragons. You watched your brother take a pick earlier with the Nashville team, but last night you got to witness Ramit play. Was that going into your mind when you took him tonight?
Our group poured through a lot of data and watched a ton of video on all these guys, and Ramit is really indistinguishable from anyone who's been picked so far, with the exception of, to be a Dragon, you have to have a huge heart, and nobody's got a bigger heart than this guy.
Ramit, you played in your first ever National Squash League match last night, and not only did you get drafted to a city, but you also got yourself a nice bottle of wine here. How does this make you feel as you are now heading to Newport and being part of the National Squash League?
Amazing. Firstly, NSL, it's an amazing league, amazing format, very stressful. So nothing better than a bottle of wine on the beach. It's perfect, the right balance between some stress and some relaxation. So I'm glad that they picked me, and I'm looking forward to this wonderful journey.
Thank you guys here. Ramit Tandon heading to the Newport Dragons. All right, we are heading to our final pick of round one. Chicago Grizzlies, you are on the clock.
We should now have not only the final pick of the first round, Sean, but the first pick of the 7th round there here at the 6-7 turn, as it is important to remember that we are in the snake draft format. So Atlanta gets a star talent like Yusuf Ibrahim first overall, but they're not going to pick again until pick 12. Ramit Tandon joining the Newport Dragons, and he will find out his first teammate after Chicago's first 2 picks, as Newport will come back with the second pick of the second round. Ramit Tandon from Wall Street to the PSA World Tour to the Nsl Draft here tonight at Nashville. Sean, what a story for a guy out of Colombia, now entering his early 30s, the twilight of potentially his pro squash career, but a guy that is one of the smartest players on tour, one of the hardest workers on tour, and is such an electric player to watch.
He really is, and I've never seen him happier with that bottle of wine, so I'm sure he's happy with his team right now. But Ramit Tandon, yeah, could not be happy for him. I generally feel like his game is underappreciated. This type of game of attacking is what we need in squash. I cannot reiterate that. So glad to have him a part of this league and be committed to it. So looking forward to what he can contribute.
Yeah, Mr. Dyke, very excited to chat with us before the draft, and was schmoozing us a little bit, offered us a bottle of wine very generously. Of course, yeah, I'm not of age, but Sean, I hope you enjoy that wonderful bottle of wine that Mr. Dyke was able to offer us, and picking our brains about some of the prospects on the board here today. And he is really enthusiastic about this whole operation, as well as his brother John, who is heading up the Nashville team. And it's great to have both of them on board here with the NSL. We turn our attention to the Chicago Grizzlies. They will have 2 picks in a row. For my money, I think you want to shoot for an attacking player first, or a defensive player second, or the other way around here. I think you want to find good balance here with these next 2 picks. Anyone that catches your eye, Sean, in terms of maybe one attacking player and one defensive player to keep your eyes out for.
I couldn't agree more. I'm really curious what the owner is thinking right now of how to balance these back-to-back picks. One player that I want to keep in mind is Rory Stewart. But Rory's always incredible with he's made it he hasn't shied away from the fact that he likes playing in front of the crowd. But
well, let's see if it's going to be Rory Stewart, number 6 overall here from Scotland. Ryan Leslie, the MC, has pick number 6 for the Chicago Grizzlies.
We are back here for the final pick of round number 1 for the Chicago Grizzlies. I will take that from you. Drum roll, please. The final pick. With the 6th overall pick and final pick of round 1, the Chicago Grizzlies select world ranked number 53 from the United States of America, Andrew Douglas.
Log it in this. You're the owner, right?
Great. I am here with team owner of the Chicago Grizzlies and daughter of the Chicago Grizzlies. Was she the one that made the pick, or was this all you?
As of everything in our house, it was a joint decision.
Well, you've been a part now of both of our renderings here of the National Squash League. You select Andrew Douglas with your first overall pick. You got to watch him last night. What was the thought here taking him 6th overall? Was it because he was here, or is it more the fact that he's actually a good player?
What a great question. No, he's got every kind of game you need for the National Squash League. He's got the experience. He's got, the ability to play defensive squash, the ability to play offensive squash, and he's good value in every possible way. So we're excited.
Andrew Douglas, Dougie here, going 6th overall to the Chicago Grizzlies. You're heading to Chicago, Andrew, and you just had your first ever event here at the National Squash League. How was that, and what are you going to bring to Chicago here?
Yes. Yeah, no, thanks for drafting me. I actually saw the owner play, both of them today, and they're both really good squash players, so that's a real plus as a player to have such a knowledgeable owner. So I'm excited to play and have fun. Yeah.
Well, there we go. That concludes round 1. Andrew Douglas heading to Chicago. Deep Dish Pizza has his name all over it. That is the end of round 1. We are going to take a brief intermission here. Everyone, stretch yourself out, grab some refreshments, and we'll be back real quick for round number 2.
Exciting first round we had in store here. Surprises. Timmy Brownell, the third player off the board, unexpected. And even in the top 2, we knew it was going to be between Yusuf Ibrahim and Victor Kruin, Sean. But both of us thought that Victor was the number 1 overall pick. Atlanta taking a shot on Yusuf to kick things off here. And there are 3 minutes on the clock as we are back to the Chicago Grizzlies for the first pick of the second round. And Sean, let's go down to MC Ryan Leslie as the pick is in, and then we'll get your thoughts on Chicago's second selection here in the Nsl Draft. Ryan Leslie.
All right, we are back here. Round 2. They picked last in round 1, took Andrew Douglas, and now they're first in round 2 with the first pick, 7th overall in round 2. The Chicago Grizzlies select from Argentina, world ranked number 36, Leandro Romiglio.
Strong players, good length, and Leandro having a career year with it, and he's part of the Prague system that Gregory Gaultier leads over there with so many different types of players there. So I think it's incredible to have him on your team, and he's a no stranger to having different playing with different types of players over there with Mohamed El Sharbaghi there, having Lucas Sturm there. So it's really interesting to see what type of style he'll bring. He could also be very attacking, but great start for that. It's
2 very physical, very strong, very powerful players to kick things off for the team in the Windy City. That team is going to be playing their home matches at the University Club of Chicago, and I can't wait to watch the Chicago Grizzlies' first home match of the season coming up in just over a month, Sean, as we are going to head back down to the green room and back down to the MC Ryan Leslie, who will announce the 8th overall pick in the National Squash League Draft coming up right now.
All right, we are here. The Newport Dragons are taking their second pick here. Well, there we go. The Newport Dragons select from the United States of America, Spencer the Tranquilizer Lovejoy. You're all good. There we go. Well, we got Bear here. Bear's second pick. And you took one of the charmers here from the National Squash League draft. I don't know if you know this, but he's got the nickname the Tranquilizer. Did that go into anything here, picking Spencer?
I do. It did. Defense, offense, we'll keep playing that game. But again, heart. Biggest heart out there.
The Newport Dragons are taking teams that all have players with heart. Spencer Lovejoy, the Tranquilizer, you have a lot of heart. You're heading to Newport with a fresh bottle of wine. How does it feel to officially be picked in the National Squash League draft and you're no longer sitting down in that chair?
Well, it feels amazing. Firstly, thank you to Bear for drafting me. Thank you for the National Squash League for putting on this amazing event. Really happy to be playing in Newport. It's actually a really special place to me in my heart. My best friend, TJ Dembinski, lives there with his family, and had a lot of good times there. It brings back some really good memories. It's right on the shoreline of beautiful Rhode Island. So I think we're going to have a great time for our home match there in Newport, and I can't wait to play at St. George's.
Well, there you have it. Spencer Lovejoy heading to Newport. You guys are all set. Hold on, guys. Hold on. Bear. Take a quick photo real quick. 3 minutes on the clock. Nashville will take their second pick. Sorry, New York.
Spencer mentioned Newport will be having their home match hosted by the St. George's School out in Rhode Island. And in addition to the wonderful venue that he will get to play at, a wonderful bottle of wine for Mr. Lovejoy. Him and Ramit Tandon will be teaming up in Rhode Island as we throw to Spencer Lovejoy here. So Spencer Lovejoy and Ramit Tandon teaming up in New York. And Sean, what are your thoughts on selection number 8 and how do those two players contrast in terms of their playing styles?
First of all, I know the Newport Dragons stock right now is going up with it. It seems like every player gets a personal bottle of wine. If I was a player out there, I'd be dying to be part of that team right now with even the scenery that Newport provides. But in terms of Spencer's game, we saw it yesterday. I'm not surprised he comes in this early. We saw the defense by him and how he's able to defend the power play. And also one thing to note is that this is also a format that came from Timmy and Spencer. So in terms of the format being an advantage for both of them, we saw in full effect yesterday, and I have no doubt it'll continue to be an advantage for the two of them as they know exactly how to strategize as it was built by them.
Absolutely. Spencer Lovejoy, a wise selection here, is ranked 68 in the world, so he's not one of the top 10 ranked players in this draft pool, though he's not far outside. Not one of the top 10 ranked players. However, you have to remember, a guy like Spencer Lovejoy literally wrote the rules for this league. He knows and understands the format like the back of his hand, which is going to come in good use, especially in the matches early on in the season for the Newport Dragons. He has a personal stock and investment in the success of this league, and furthermore, the success of his team in Newport. So I think it is an extraordinarily wise pick for a great young man and a great athlete, and I couldn't be more thrilled for the Dragons. As when we're looking at the board here, it's interesting to see who could be next. And I think the top name that has remained unpicked, you mentioned him a few minutes ago. It's the Scotsman. It's Rory Stewart.
Yeah, I mean, I love Rory. I think he's an incredible pick. I love him as a pick. He's been his infamous Commonwealth Games performance where he was able to shine at beating Patrick Rooney and James Willstrop. Yes, he said it before, and I reiterate it. He loves playing a part in front of a crowd. And if there's one thing I know for certain that the NSL brings, it's rowdy crowds. And in terms of that formatting, Rory Stewart is your guy. And would love to see more of him because he's a player that thrives under these conditions. So hopefully that would be my pick for the next pick. But we'll see what the owners have as they do their own due diligence on it.
Yeah, now we're back here to the New York City Knights coming up. Auguste Sword, the first overall selection for them. We'll see who they go with in round 2 to counteract Auguste. Back to Ryan Leslie, the MC for pick number 10 in the Nsl Draft.
Take that. Thank you very much. All right. We are back here in round 2, pick number 3, heading to the New York Knights. Oh boy. All right, here we go. Round 2, pick number 3, world ranked 119 from Colombia, Matthias Knudsen. Well, there you have it. I'm here with team owner Elizabeth. Elizabeth, it kind of comes as a shocker, but also at the same time, I already heard from other coaches that they're a little upset at your pick here. What was going through your mind when you took Matthias off the board?
We wanted to round out our team. He is a real sharpshooter, and we all know that he's the king of social media.
Matthias Knudsen and his trick shots. Matthias, you were sitting down in that chair. We were talking a little bit last night. You weren't really sure if you were going to get picked at all. And now here you are in round 2. How does it feel to be heading to New York in the National Squash League?
No, it's awesome, man. Like I was not expecting to get drafted, like obviously this high. I was even worried, like maybe I go undrafted because of my world ranking, all of that. So I don't know, I think it's such a privilege, and I'm so excited to represent New York, and thank you so much for the confidence. I'm sure we're going to do well.
Well, there you have it. And ladies and gentlemen, Matthias Knudsen from Colombia is off the board, heading to New York.
Here at number 9 overall,
Nashville, you're next.
Sean, we are going to have no issues in terms of confidence, in terms of swagger when it comes to the New York Knights now. Auguste Sword and Matthias Knudsen, 2 attack-heavy players that know how to take the ball into the forecourt with force, and a guy that is not ranked in the top 100, coming off surgery and injuries, and obviously lower ranked than he should be. And it's good to see him get drafted number 9 overall here tonight.
I'm super glad he's got the recognition. I was worried that he was not going to go early, but I'm glad he did, because he's a player that, you might be carried away with all the social media and the success he's had with the trick shots. But let's not forget how much of a quality player he is. He's probably one of the best player that Drexel's ever come out in that program, and incredible player with his reach and the attacking ability, as also the way he's able to absorb pressure with his reach. Notable results during his time there was his results against Marwan Tariq and Ali Abu, where he's pushed them to 5 consistently. So on his day, I think he's at top 50 level. So I'm glad that they did their research on him, and glad he went this early.
From Colombia, and a product of the John White coaching tree at Drexel, as is one Ryan Leslie, our MC for this evening. So Matthias, a guy that took Drexel to number 5 in the country at their peak, at the number 1 spot for the Dragons, and still based in Philadelphia, and is doing outstandingly well in his training programs, and has worked his butt off to get to the point that he's at. And there is no doubt in my mind that this is going to be a guy that's in the world top 50 in the next 6 months. I really think that we're going to see a meteoric rise for Matthias Knudsen when it comes to the PSA World Tour, and now he's bringing that passion and that electricity to the National Squash League. And something to keep your eyes on if you are unfamiliar with Matthias Knudsen. Head to his Instagram page. The King, as we heard a little bit down at the lectern with Mr. Leslie, he's the king of the trick shot, and he has taken the social media world by storm. Had an unbelievable one with his fellow Colombian Miguel Rodriguez the other day. So make sure to go check out Matthias on Instagram, give him a follow, and take a look at some of those outstanding trick shots that are on full display, as it appears that the next pick is in pick number 10, and it'll be back to the Nashville Crushers and Jonathan Dyke. So let's see who the pick is going to be here, number 10.
The Beast? All right, we are back here in round number 2 for the Nashville Crushers. Woo-hoo! Aye. The Nashville Crushers' second selection heading here is from Colombia, world ranked number 55, Juan Camilo Vargas. Juan joins Timmy there and the Nashville Crushers. And Jonathan Dyke says that Juan is a beast. So the Nashville Crushers now have the Slim Tim and the Beast. All right, I'll be back.
From Colombia initially, and as well as his the man that just won above him, Matthias Knudsen, and from the Trinity Paul Asiante coaching tree. Once again, another college squash product, 29 years old, similar to, as we spoke about, Leandro Remiglio playing his best squash at 33 years old. Juan Vargas at 29 at his highest world ranking of 43 in the world right now, Sean.
Great pick. He's based out of Prague with that Gregor Gaultier with earlier, as I mentioned before as well, but great pick. He's also had a lot of experience in the team-based format as a former Trinity Bantam. So having both Timmy and Juan Vargas on your team who are very well-versed in the team format should only be a plus for that team. And he's very solid base, and the way he's been chipping away in the rankings just shows the effort he's been putting in and the work he's been putting in to become a better player. So I'm really excited how he'll adapt to this team format, but I must say that it can't be bad to have Timmy Brownell, the founder of NSL, be a part of it.
Absolutely, Sean. And looking at the draft board here, Rory Stewart remains undrafted, out of Scotland. That's a name to keep your eyes on. Two guys that I'm going to throw out there that we haven't mentioned tonight, two Englishmen. I think that Simon Herbert, 22 years old, young, flashy, exciting. He's a guy that does not like to hit 2 straight drives in a row when he doesn't have to, likes to take the ball into the front court as soon as possible, and hits it in with pace. Unlike a lot of his fellow Europeans, he doesn't really feather the ball into the front court when he hits his drop shots. He likes to flatten it into the nick and plays such an exciting brand of squash. He's a great enigma, great personality, great for the sport of squash, and will be great for the NSL when he is inevitably drafted at some point this evening. And then Charlie Lee, kind of the flip side of what you get with Simon Herbert, even though he's also an Englishman, a couple years older, 25, has been battling some injuries, so maybe isn't ranked as high as he should be, but an immensely talented player that plays a more defensive, more attritional style of squash. A very intelligent player, very tactically smart, but waits for his opponents to make mistakes. Doesn't volley a lot, doesn't take the ball in short as much as his English counterpart, Simon Herbert, does. So it will be interesting to see when those two guys get drafted. Two more names to keep your eyes on. As we are now back to the Derby City Colts, Sean. And the pick is in. Ryan Leslie down at the lectern for us in the green room to announce the next pick and the next member of the Derby City Colts to join Victor Crow.
The round, pick number 5, join Vicky forming the Derby City Colts. The Louisville selects world ranked number 52 from England, Charlie Lee.
Charlie, coming out of Rob Owens Academy. We all know, if you're a casual squash fan, the importance of the Rob Owen Academy and the success that they've been having. So to have him, and also him coming off of injury, I always feel like players who come off injury come off very rejuvenated and fired up. So to have an opportunity to get more practice matches in, and in the format of NSL, I think would only benefit them in general.
And Atlanta is back on the clock here. The Tornadoes have been patient. They got their guy first overall, Yusuf Ibrahim, and now they will be rewarded for waiting. They will not only have the final pick of the second round, pick number 12, but they'll also have the first pick of the third round. So picks 12 and 13. Sean, if you are the general manager making the big money moves and the big money decisions for the Atlanta Tornadoes, who are the two players that you would take to complement Yusuf Ibrahim in Atlanta?
I mean, wow, to have Yusuf Ibrahim as your player right now as your first pick, I'm curious to see what the strategy is. But again, no one is picking Rory Stewart, and I don't know why, but he's not getting a lot of love. I think he has a perfect balance of both offense and defense, but hopefully he does get picked in this round. If not, another name that I want to throw out there right now is Vieira Trani. A bit lower on the rankings list on paper, but we know what he can bring to the table. He's currently just clearing out the college squash scene right now from Cornell, led by David Palmer, but he has the perfect mix, again, of offense and defense, so should be interesting. I would not be surprised if he gets picked early, even though he's towards the latter half of this list. How about you, Jackson? What do you think?
Yeah, I think those are both great choices. I really like Vieira, and obviously he played this weekend in Philadelphia and is still playing, I believe, for the Cornell Big Red at the CSA National Competition, a senior at Cornell playing for David Palmer. He has the CSA Individuals Competition coming up next weekend, and that'll be his final collegiate event before he becomes a full-time professional, already a guy that is top 90 in the world as a CSA player. So once he really commits to the Pro Tour and he's completed his studies at Cornell and he really invests his time into squash, so talented, and also another guy that has such an incredibly entertaining playing style. Actually plays quite a bit like his good friend and his fellow Indian, Ramit Tandon. So it'll be really interesting to see if he's a guy that, despite being a little bit lower in the rankings, will get selected here to close out the second round or early in the third round. One other name that hasn't been talked about a lot tonight is Shahjahan Khan, the number 44 player in the world, I believe. That actually may have been updated recently, as we're going to wrap up here and send it back down to MC Ryan Leslie for the final pick of round number 2.
All right, here we go to finalize round number 2 and to see who will be joining Yusuf Ibrahim over in Atlanta. It's been a long time since they've made a pick. A lot of people have gone off the board, but the pick is in. Atlanta Tornadoes' second pick. Select world number 51 from the United States of America, Todd Harrity. That concludes round 2. Everyone is welcome to get yourself a nice refreshment, and we will be right back with a raffle. Get stretched out. 2 more rounds coming at you. We're going to give away some t-shirts here, so make some noise from your city, accompanied by Timmy Brownell and Spencer Lovejoy. So make some noise for your t-shirt. Timmy, I got more shirts for you. Make some noise. Say hello. Oh, another t-shirt. Hello. If squash doesn't work out, you can go throw baseballs. All right, that was fun. We'll be back soon for round number 3.
Welcome back to the first ever National Squash League draft here from Nashville, Tennessee, as we are about a month away from the first official ever NSL match. We had the exhibition last night, Team World versus Team USA. It was Ramit Tandon, it was Victor Kruin, and it was Yusuf Ibrahim taking on Andrew Douglas, Spencer Lovejoy, and Timmy Brownell for the U.S. And it came down to the final point, Sean, where Timmy Brownell, with an absolute ripper down the backhand line, it was tight, as Joey Barrington would say, glued to the sidewall. Victor Kruin could not quite scrape it up. Team USA takes the victory in the scrimmage. It was an electric atmosphere. It was a pleasure to be on the call for that match, and it's just a taste of things to come for the NSL, Sean. And when we're looking at this brand new exciting league where it comes down to crowd engagement, and there's a lot of playing on and off the crowd. One name that you've thrown out, and it's been a surprise that he hasn't been picked so far, Rory Stewart from Scotland.
He's not getting a lot of love, is he, Jackson? I don't know why, but hopefully the next couple rounds he will be selected. But one thing I do want to notice is I do very much so appreciate the owners not just going down the list of rankings, but really doing their research and seeing how each player will fit the team. And right now we have Todd Harrity going off that last pick and joining Yusuf Ibrahim and both being Princeton Tigers. It's as if that team only wants to select Princeton players, but it'll be interesting to see. Can't say anything bad about Todd Harrity. He took a bit of a break, but is feeling rejuvenated. Had very big wins over Ian Yao recently and Omar Mossad. So in a way, he could be one of the best players. But
all right, we're back for round 3. Atlanta Tornadoes, you are on.
So Atlanta's officially on the clock here now to start their third round. So we have a couple minutes here to deliberate over who will be the first pick of the third round and the third member of the Atlanta Tornadoes, the first team to be able to make that third selection. Remember, they had the last pick of the second round, the snake draft format. It's going to come right back around. They're going to have the first pick of round number 3. So, Sean, are there any more Princeton Tigers available for Atlanta to take? I'm not sure if I see any off the top of my head, so that'll be something to keep your eyes on. But in all seriousness, I mean, Rory's the guy that we're looking at. I mean, who are some other guys that might be a good fit here for this team?
I think on this conversation of college squash, I think a lot of players down the list are very good. And one name I want to throw out there right now is Sam Sherrill. Sam Sherrill is one of the best college squash players to ever come out and one of the best U.S. juniors. And if you've seen him play, he's quite the defender, and he was part of that Louisville pilot program of the NSL. So would be excited to see how he would fit within a certain team, as he's super familiar with the team-based format. And we know he would give anything for his team. So would be excited to see his name come on the list as well. Also, TJ Dubinsky, and hopefully he gets picked by the Newport Dragons, considering the allegiance he has with where he lives. Jackson, how about you? Any names right now that you're thinking that should be getting more love?
Yeah, I mean, we've mentioned them. I think Simon Herbert would be a fantastic pick in the third round. I think that would be a steal. Any pick from this point on, I think that would be an outstanding choice, a very exciting player in addition to being very talented, and his squash is such high quality. I mean, he's an extraordinarily entertaining player to watch. And like I said, holds nothing back, is going to hit the ball as hard as he possibly can, going for the nick every time. He is a high-risk, high-reward player, almost plays more of an Egyptian attacking style than he does the British, English, attritional, quality style that we like to see. Not that he doesn't hit quality lines here and there, and not that he doesn't have beautiful techers as Timmy and Spencer love to.
It's like we're cursing them right now with Simon Herbert and Rory Stewart. The more we talk about them, no one's picking them. So we'll see in this next one and how they'll do.
Yeah, we'll see if Atlanta is going to break that streak. And then Shah Jahan Khan from the U.S., another player to keep your eyes on. I believe he is actually the highest ranked player still on the board outside of Rory Stewart. So will be interesting to see if he goes in the next couple picks here. Let's go back down to Ryan Leslie in the green room for the first pick of round number 3, as we're halfway through, folks.
All right, here we go.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are back for the round 3. We have looked into round skins with half of the teams. Go, round 3 will finish
all of the starters for their teams. Atlanta is making their third pick to see who will join Yusuf and Todd. With the first pick in round 3, the Atlanta Tornadoes select world number 66 from England, Tom Walsh. There you have it. Atlanta's 3 starters are there. We're going to look for the 4th round here. You can tell everyone's starting to get real serious as every pick matters. Next will be the Derby City Colts.
I want to talk about Tom Walsh, the Englishman, number 66 in the world, as Ryan Leslie just mentioned, not in attendance here today, but adding a dynamic element to the Atlanta Tornadoes, who have 2 attack-heavier players in Yusuf Ibrahim and then Todd Harrity, who can do the offense and the defensive piece and has been on the PSA Tour for a long while now and is quite a veteran. Like you said, took a break, and now he's back, rejuvenated. A huge win over Ian Yao recently, and he's really feeling himself. what do you think of that pick? And how does, I'm sorry, not the Todd Harrity pick. What do you think of the Tom Walsh pick, and how does that add? What elements does that bring to Atlanta?
I think this is a great pick. Tom Walsh has not received a lot of love from us, and I think it's about time we start talking about him. Based out in Florida with Wyatt Al-Hindi, with the Kinetic Club, and if you know his game, he's a very, very has good solid base, and I kind of like the strategy they're going for here. They got the big swinger in the power plays with Yusuf Ibrahim, and we got Todd Harrity and Tom Walsh taking care of business to defend. And Tom Walsh is a great player to have coming out of England, but based in USA. So in terms of availability, he's going to be there. So I have no complaints about this pick, and I think I'm glad that he did get picked up, and we should have talked about him more, but I'm glad we are right now.
Yeah, absolutely. Tom Walsh, Englishman, and Wyatt Al-Hindi building a great program down at Kinetic in Florida right now. And actually his school, St. Andrews, just won the high school national championship. So huge shout outs and congratulations to Wyatt for St. Andrews and for his guy Tom Walsh being the first pick of the third round in the Nsl Draft, as we see Matthias Knudsen, the big surprise of the second round to maybe the more casual fans, but not really a surprise to us, Sean, looking at Matthias and his body of work. Such a young, talented player, played number one for the best team in the history of Drexel University and John White. There's Ryan Leslie filling us in on who's left from that top 20, and those two names isolated, Rory Stewart and Shah Jahan Khan, still remain.
I love how Matthias is drinking down that beer and talking to his team owner, but that's not the main business right now. The pick is in, so let's go down to MC Ryan Leslie for the next pick.
Then why are we here for the Derby City Colts? Finalizing their team and their starters. It's actually in the envelope this time. All right, here we go. Round 3. To complete the starting spot for the Derby City Colts, they select... Oh boy. All right. They select from India, world ranked number 87, Veer Chotrani.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, look, we got France, England, and now India. So you would. Next nation. Just Nashville. You're on the clock.
Derby City Colts, they might be the front runners and the favorites when it comes to the NSL this year. I think it's a great pick, Sean.
I love this pick. It makes me smile a lot. In the pre-shows, we've talked about a lot, Jackson, about sleeper picks, and Veer Chotrani is someone that I mentioned a couple times. I think he is.
You took him. He was my sleeper. Then you picked him first. Then I actually went for Matthias. So now our two sleepers, we were worried they weren't going to be drafted, and there they go, Sean.
No, I'm glad they're getting the love they deserve. And really, Veer Chotrani, you can't really put him in both either offense or defense because he excels in both in Cornell right now. But he's one of those players that right now is not professional because of his college duties, but he's already 80 in the world. So it would be very fascinating to see how he moves up the rankings, and if he's one of those players that will continue on moving up the rankings. He might be the top 50 by the end of the season next year. So really excited to see his progress on part of this team, and also him teaming up with Victor Cruin will be fascinating to see.
Yeah, Veer Chotrani, Ivy League Player of the Year this year, will likely be the National Player of the Year, or excuse me, the Skillman Award winner was an award that he won today, actually. So I came to mind in the middle of my sentence. So congratulations to Veer, as well as Marina Stefanoni, who had an outstanding season for Harvard and won the Skillman Award for the Crimson. So congrats to Marina, and also to Veer, who had an outstanding season for Cornell, undefeated, 12-0, did not lose a match this year, and beating up on college squash's finest, guys like Solomon Khalil, the freshman for the University of Pennsylvania, the number one for a variety of different teams this season. Taha Danana most recently against the University of Virginia on Friday, yesterday, in that first round CSA match, despite Cornell falling 5-4 to UVA. He did win that match at the top and has had an outstanding season. He's been the best player in college squash this year. Will be interesting to see how he fares at individuals next weekend, and I'm looking forward to a potential matchup in the finals between him and Trinity's Mohamed Sharaf. That being said, the next pick is in for the hometown Nashville Crushers. Jonathan Dyke deliberating with Timmy Brownell about his pick. Let's see what Ryan Leslie has in store for us with pick number 3 for Nashville.
All right, we are here, Nashville. All right, here we go. To finish out the Nashville Crushers' top 3 spots, they select from England, Simon Herbert. World rank number 56. United States, Colombia, now England.
All the plug you've been putting in at Simon Herbert, what do you think of this pick? How happy are you that he got picked in 3rd round right now?
Yes, Simon Herbert, the 5th player on my personal big. So this is really good to see. I am a believer in Simon Herbert. At 22 years old, has already worked his way up to number 54 in the world. And I watched his match a couple weeks ago in Houston, the first round of that World event. And he played Kareem El-Hamami, who's ranked about 10 spots above him, and fell short in 5 games. And you could tell that Hamami was more experienced in that 5th game, had been there on a number of occasions. It had been in those type of situations. Simon maybe lacking a little bit of experience and wasn't able to keep up. But in terms of skill and talent level, was so impressive in that match. And does some things with the racket that you can count. You can only count on one hand the number of people on the PSA World Tour that are able to do some of the things that Simon Herbert can do with the racket. Once again, is not your traditional Englishman, so don't let the red and white flag fool you. He plays a very Egyptian, very attacking, very exciting playing style, and I cannot wait for his arrival in the NSL. As we now turn our attention to the final 2 picks of round number 3, it is going to be Newport coming up here. Or I'm sorry, final 3 picks of round number 3. We turn our attention to New York City. The Knights, we have Auguste Desord as their first round pick. And then in the 2nd round, they went with a shocking selection of the Colombian Matthias Knudsen. So now it'll be interesting to see if they go chalk here or if they go a little bit haywire as they did in the 2nd round here in round number 3. I really like this team so far, Sean. Where do you see New York City going here in the 3rd?
There are still so many good names out there, but one thing I would like to point out is that Matthias is in the circle right now with the owners, talking to them vigorously about what type of strategy. So wouldn't be surprised if the next pick has some friendship with Matthias, or he knows a player that might be a good fit for him, because team camaraderie is such a huge thing in these type of events, as we saw with Team USA beating Team World yesterday, as Team World looking champs at the beginning. But I'm very curious. There's so many good names still in the draft around in the 10 to 20, 25, 30 mark. So it'd be interesting to see what the next pick will be. Jackson, how about you? What do you think?
Yeah, I agree. I still think that Rory Stewart is the pick here. I think it's important to mention Bernat Jama, I feel Jama. Yeah, Jama, who you might have a better pronunciation of, is the currently the top Spaniard in the world, I believe, outside of Iker Parajes. Is this correct? And so the number 2 Spaniard, and a great player as well, great personality, as you mentioned on Talk NSL earlier this week, or NSL Talk rather, or the show that you can check out streaming on all podcasting platforms.
All right, here we go.
Where we talk about
New York Knights.
NSL, and here's Ryan
They
Leslie.
are taking round 3, pick number 4, a man who's been on the board for a little longer than people thought. From Scotland, world number 41, going to New York Knights, is Rory Stewart. That will complete out the top 3 for the New York Knights: Auguste, Matthias, and Rory. France, Colombia, Scotland.
Selected about a dozen picks ahead of Rory Stewart. Who would have thought that heading in to the NSL draft? And as you mentioned, you appreciate the due diligence of the owners, taking into account the different format of NSL. It is so different in terms of the playing style from the PSA World Tour. And it's going to result in surprises like this. But Rory Stewart finally has a home, and that is in the Big Apple, New York City, your stomping grounds. What do you think of New York City's roster as it stands right now?
One thing I'd like to point out here, Jackson, is that the New York team entire roster is very tall. Augustus Sword, over 6 feet. Matthias Knudsen, over 6 feet. And now Rory Stewart, who is well over 6 feet, might be the tallest team, and there might be a strategy there that the owners are thinking about of the reach, and maybe height does matter. So we don't know. Maybe the players know something. Maybe the owners know something that we don't. But it's interesting to see how these rosters are building out and what type of game they're trying to promote. But Rory Stewart, again, love the pick. Been plugging him since the beginning of the show, but he can do both on the offensive and defensive end. And you give him a good crowd, and I'm telling you, he could do some real damage.
Yeah, Sean. And now we're getting into the territory of sleepers. And the name that still remains on the tip of my tongue is Shah Jahan Khan. We'll see where he goes. But outside of Shah Jahan, I would imagine he'll be selected in the next 3 picks. That's TBD. But now we're getting into territory where it's okay for the owners to maybe take a few flyers. It's okay for the owners to say, okay, maybe this guy's not top 100 in the world, but we believe that he is going to fit the NSL format. So I think that it's time to start maybe looking at guys that aren't even necessarily ranked, maybe guys that were elite college players that might have a lot of success with a team format, but have chosen to not pursue the Pro Tour at a super high level, or have chosen to pursue the Pro Tour and are very young and early on. And essentially, it's kind of time for some flyers. We're not necessarily going to see, we're going to see a lot less chalk now as we're in the later stages of the draft. So who are a few guys that you would be eyeing if you were a GM?
I said it before, but Sam Sherrill, I do think needs to be picked in terms of availability. You know, he's based in New York, I believe, and he's going to be there in all these matches. And again, he's been a part of the pilot program, so he knows the strategy. He's an incredible player that it's a bit unfortunate he hasn't decided to take on the professional circuit, but nonetheless, he is staying involved with the sport. So it's fantastic to see that. Another sleeper pick that I would mention would be Bernard Jama. I know he's still top in the rankings, but he hasn't been receiving a lot of love, but I do think he's someone that you need on your team. He's such a feisty individual, and especially in a team format, he's going to give it his all. And the type of squash he plays is very smooth. So I'm really looking forward to him being a part of it. I know talking to him on the Instagrams, I know he's enthusiastic to be a part of this. So, but going back to MC Ryan Leslie.
For the Newport Dragons, I was told specifically to not look at this pick before I read it, so I'm learning just as you are learning. Would have been funny if there was nothing in here. All right, Newport Dragons to finish out their top 3. Currently world ranked number 94. From Malaysia, Sanjay Jiva. Oh, an absolutely beautiful photo. They have Ramit Tandon, Spencer Lovejoy, Sanjay Jiva off the board, the only Malaysian in the National Squash League. India, United States, and Malaysia to round out the Newport Dragon. Yeah.
Jackson, I couldn't be happier with this pick, and I think Sanjay Jiva is a name that I mentioned during the pre-draft show. He is box office. I played him in college, and he absolutely got my ass kicked on it. So it's interesting. He's such a fast, wicked quick player, as you can see on the player graphic as he's diving, but incredibly attacking squash and also incredibly quick. And his game has really gotten together as he's basing himself in Connecticut with Rodney Martin. And I'm sure Rodney Martin's impact on his game has already shown late in his progress up the rankings right now, as he's having an incredibly stellar season this past 6 to 8 months, having scalps over scalps. So really, it does make sense that he goes in the 3rd round for me. Jackson, what are your thoughts on him?
Yeah, I mean, he was a guy that we've talked about at length. We haven't mentioned here on the broadcast tonight, but I knew you'd like to pick because you've been very excited about the idea Sanjay Jiva. And like you said, a guy that you played, I assume that was your only college loss. I mean, we're talking to a former NESCAC Rookie of the Year to my left here. So I know Sean was quite the college player. He didn't get his behind kicked by too many folk back in his Wesleyan days. But yeah, Sanjay Jiva out of Malaysia, one of the top Malaysians in the world, alongside Ian Yao. And he's getting the Paul Cole treatment in Florida right now, training with Rodney Martin. So it's safe to say that his level is going to improve, and that he is going to find a lot of success with his exciting playing style in the NSL. Let's go back down to the green room to Ryan Leslie to round out round number 3. It is the Chicago Grizzlies on the clock.
Hold on, let me get a little closer over here. I'm gonna get the other guys. Here we go. Gonna get these people here. All right. Let's see. Right there. All right.
All right. Here we go to finalize and finish out round number 3. The Chicago Grizzlies have been waiting for a little bit. You can see everyone is starting to really think about who they're picking here, and also everyone's having a great time having those St. George's bottles of red wine here. So if you're not at the NSL Draft, you should be, and you should be here next year. All right, here we go. To finish out round number 3 with pick 6. Another unique pick here. To finish out round 3 from the Czech Republic. Only one, Czech Republic, world rank number 98, Daniel McBeb. Also, everybody give a round of applause to Claire Adams for helping us out here making that pick. High five. Up top. Yeah, there we go. High five. There we go. And that is the end of round 3. We're going to take a 5-minute intermission. Everyone, grab yourself a couple of drinks because it's about to get real serious here in round number 4.
Welcome back to the 2024 NSL Draft. My name is Jackson Bragman alongside Sean Choi, and we're getting ready to kick off the 4th round here for the NSL as Ryan Leslie's finishing up. There we go. And the NSL Draft, we're back. We're here for the 4th round. All of the starters have been selected, but there are certainly going to be scheduling conflicts. There are going to be injuries, and there are going to be a lot of circumstances to come up. So this 4th round is ever important. And also, just because you're picked in the 4th round doesn't mean you can't work your way into that top 3 rotation. So this is an extraordinarily crucial point where these teams are now looking for flyers. We're not going to see chalk. The next 6 highest ranked players are not going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 off the board. We're going to see things get a little bit funky here. So fasten your seatbelts. Sean Choi, I can't wait. NSL action coming at us fast and furious, just like it did last night at the exhibition.
Yeah, we're really in the latter half here, and I think these are the picks where owners need to really take chances and, you know, look at the list from the bottom up and see what type of players will benefit your team. And this is the time where, if you have your players on your team, discuss with your players and see what they think. These players have the best insight on who could be rounding out a really good team. So it will be really interesting to see if the college squash players get involved or players outside the top 100 get involved as well. And a couple names I feel like we haven't talked about maybe is Sam Todd.
Sam Todd is a great shout.
Prodigy who is coming off an injury, strongly coming back. He recently posted on the socials of his comeback journey, but incredibly talented, one of the most talented with his racket work for coming out from England, which is rare to see. But working with James Woolstrop over there and Pontefract Club, I think his comeback will be a great journey to keep an eye on and keep tabs on. And I'm rooting for him, Jackson. I'm rooting for his success because he's such a nice guy. So we'll see how it goes. But what are any other names that are looking out for you, Jackson?
Sam Todd, once again, to quote Timmy and Spencer, excellent techers, one of the best juniors in the history of squash. One of the best junior squash players ever from England, was the #1 junior throughout his career, a brutal injury that he is just now coming back from. And I think the NSL would be a great way to kickstart that. So it's a great shout, Sean, a guy we talked about briefly on the show a little over a week ago. The first pick of the 4th round is in now. Let's go down to the MC, Ryan Leslie, to announce the 4th and final selection for the Chicago Grizzlies.
All right, here we go. Round 4 is officially underway. The pick is in from Chicago for their 4th pick and their last pick. Keep in mind here, by the way, just because it's a 4th pick does not mean that they are not playing or in. Everyone, all 4 people have the ability to start and to play. So, here we go. First pick of round 4 and the last pick for the Chicago Grizzlies. According to this sheet, the highest world ranking of number 73, a former junior champion from England, Sam Todd. That completes the Chicago Grizzlies lineup. Next is the Newport Dragons. You're on the clock.
I'm going to move over, all right?
As we were talking about Sam Todd, he gets picked in that round.
Sean, about a half century ago, if you did what you just did, you would be tried for witchcraft for that. I mean, that was an outstanding selection by the Chicago Grizzlies, and it's an outstanding prediction by you. And I am thrilled that Sam Todd is going to be participating in the NSL, a guy that I wasn't sure if teams were going to take a chance on, but an immensely talented player that has competed with some of the world's best and was, throughout his junior career, the best in the world. I am thrilled to see Sam Todd in the NSL. The Englishman, like you mentioned, a fantastic human being, tall, lanky, fit, and I can't wait for Sam Todd in NSL action. I think he's going to be great for the game.
Jackson, quick side note, I do know his girlfriend is stateside, so I know he's itching to come back to the States anytime he can. And for him to be selected for this NSL and be committed and be a part of the NSL community, I think he's over the moon about it. And why not fly back to the U.S. and see his girlfriend?
Absolutely. We talk about flyers. That is a flyer, and it's a flyer that's done extraordinarily well here. And the Chicago Grizzlies team shaping up nicely. Sean, looking at these different teams, who do you think has assembled the best roster thus far?
Wow, you're really putting me on the spot here. All the teams, it's interesting, but I do really want to give shout out to the Colts right now, the international type of team they've created, not, resorting to Team USA with the availability they're going to bring to the table, but they're really taking a chance with how international they have with Veer Trani, Charlie Lee, and Victor Cohen rounding out. Curious to hear what their last pick's going to be. I'm sure Victor will have an input on that with his expertise in squash analytics, as he's up there as one of the most analytical players, and I hope the owners utilize his talents on that end.
Yeah, I mean, for Derby City to pick 2 and 11, they end up getting the players that are number 1 and number 6 on my personal big board, as well as taking a flyer in the 3rd round on Veer Trani. We know how talented Veer is. He's one of the best college squash players of the last couple of years since Victor Kruin and Yusuf Ibrahim themselves, and is lit the college squash world on fire this year, has gone undefeated and played at an outrageously high level. And during the first semester, people don't actually really know this, as he didn't play in all of Cornell's matches. He kind of took a semester to focus on his studies and then play some PSA, satellite, and challenger tour events. And I think that experience playing professionally will prime him for NSL, in addition to being in a competitive state right now, playing at the team nationals competition this weekend, playing at individuals next weekend. He is really trying to hit his peak right now. And as we're about a month away from NSL action kicking off, I think that he is going to be huge for the Derby City Colts. I agree. Louisville has got a good good team on their hands, and I'm thrilled for Lee Scott and everyone involved at the Louisville Boat Club, who was a part of the first beta exhibition match for NSL just under a year ago. I think Derby City has a great team on their hands, so it will be really interesting to see if they turn out to be the front runners for the championship, which will take place June 21st at the Arlen Specter Center as we go back down to Ryan Leslie.
Please. And Claire is also here. The Newport Dragons finalizing their team. Pick number 4 from the United States of America, former Yale graduate, TJ Dembinski. All right, here we go. I'm with Coach, owner, Bear. You got TJ now. You got Spencer. It's almost like it's a full Yale lineup, other than Ramit. But with that said, your last pick, you take TJ. Your team is now full. How do you feel about your team?
Super excited. We started with one dragon, and when you have more than one dragon, you have a thunder of dragons. And the Newport Dragons are going to rain thunder down on this league.
Watch out for the thunder. TJ Dembinski, you're sitting down there, almost last pick of the draft, maybe not even taken, but you're heading home to Newport, and you have a huge crowd here actually giving you some excitement. You participated in the NSL, you've been a part of the NSL, a coach, a player, and now you're officially part of the league. What does it mean to be representing Team Newport for the National Squash League?
It's a total treat. My whole family has recently moved to Newport, and so to be able to get to play in front of them and have my mom host some team dinners for the team before the matches, it's going to be very special.
You're joining Spencer Lovejoy, you're joining Ramit, and you guys are all set here. Newport Dragons, TJ Dembinski finalizing their team. One more round of applause for TJ, Bear, and the Newport Dragons. Watch out for the thunder.
Stand up. Represented in flying colors here with TJ Dembinski, the Columbus products. Went to Yale, was there for 4 years, played in the number 1 spot, overlapped briefly with Spencer Lovejoy in his time at Yale, and now is a member of the Newport Dragons. He's going to his new home. He is headed to his hometown team in Newport, Rhode Island, where he lives now, and I'm thrilled for TJ not only for heading home, heading back to Newport and being drafted by his hometown team, but also for that spectacular St. Andrew's bottle of wine that he now has possession of. And he's joining Ramit Tandon and Spencer Lovejoy, 2 gentlemen that also partook in the Team USA versus Team World exhibition here in Nashville. And you cannot help but be pumped up for TJ, Sean.
Couldn't be happier too, and I know he's gleaming with that bottle of wine that he's about to receive. But more importantly, we kind of saw him in action the way of him coaching yesterday, and he really delivered a masterclass over Matthias Nitze. I'm glad Matthias is not in the coaching corner, but on the player corner with his performance as a coach yesterday. Thank goodness he's not in the coach's corner. But on the other hand, TJ Dembinski, what a strategist he was yesterday, pulling out the perfect timing on power plays and substitutions. So if anything, he will be a perfect strategist for the team, and the allegiance he has with Newport and with the relationship he has with Spencer, both coming from Yale and all 3 of them coming from the college squash product, it's going to be incredible to see the camaraderie they're going to bring, and TJ's family hosting those dinners. Hopefully I get an invite for that dinner, or us, Jackson. So I'm really excited about this team as they are put together right now, as they're cheersing their beers, not the wine. Interesting.
And yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and book my plane ticket to Newport, and I can't wait for dinner with TJ's mom. I mean, I'm sure she's an outstanding chef and cook, and I look forward to eating some delicious homemade food. So a huge shout out to TJ, and it shows you Midwest squash tough. I can't help but be happy as a Michigan man myself. Yes, the Michigan Ohio rivalry, but for now, OH stand up. I have to be happy for TJ. I can't wallow in my and I'm an Ohio product now too. I have to embrace it as a Denison man as well. So, Sean, I mean, what a fun, exciting night of action. New York City back on the clock here. And Peter Nickel, once again, has done well here so far here tonight. A high IQ player on the PSA World Tour, reached a world #1 ranking, and now here he is in the general manager seat. So it'll be interesting to see if he takes a flyer in round 4. We're going to go back down to Mr. Leslie, the MC, for the final pick of the New York City Knights.
Can I come in to change the game? Okay.
All right, here we are. New York Knights are on the board. The pick is in to finish out the New York Knights round 4. Pick number 3. A former alumni of Harvard and the winningest player in collegiate squash history from Harvard and the United States of America, Sam Sherrill. Well, there you have it. The New York Knights are all finished out. Augustus Sohr, Matthias Knudsen, Rory Stewart, and Sam Sherrill.
About him for the last hour or so, and finally he finds a home with the New York City Knights.
I think it's a great pick, and even though he might be down there in the list, but he's someone that makes complete sense to be drafted. He's such an incredible player, played during his Harvard days with Timmy, overlapped with Timmy, and during the time of like the best Harvard team ever assembled in the history of Harvard squash and the storied history they have. But what an incredible pick, incredibly defensive player who can just absorb the pressure. And it does help that he was a part of the pilot program in Louisville, and he knows how to play the game of NSL format. So it'd be exciting to see what he brings to the table as the 4th option. So not a shabby 4th option to have, Sam Sherrill.
Part of that prestigious group that was involved in the first ever NSL exhibition match at the Louisville Boat Club last May. And a couple names on the board here that have declared for the NSL draft that were a part of that first match in Louisville. And the highest ranked of those players being Dylan Huang, the University of Pennsylvania alumni, and a guy that is knocking on the door of top 100 in the world status as we speak. Immensely talented, incredibly young player, and a part of that Gilly Lane coaching tree. So it'll be interesting to see if he goes off the board here. And talk about flyers. Mark Brokierman, who is now heading up a high school program in Virginia and is kind of dabbling in the pro tour, but a guy that is super talented. And talk about big guys. I mean, that is a huge, massive individual and a good friend of a friend. When I talk about my guy Nathan Lake, I know Mark and him are very close. So I trust if Nathan entrusts him, and him and Nathan are good buddies, I'm sure that he's a good guy. And haven't had the pleasure of meeting him yet though. But I mean, very fun playing style as well, and watching that Louisville Band match was the first time I had a chance to see him play. It was a pleasure. So it'll be interesting to see if maybe he goes off the board here as well.
That's a great shout, Jackson, considering someone's got to combat the New York Knights right now with their height they're bringing in. Other teams need to look at intimidation factor as a thing. I mean, if I looked at the line of New York Knights right now, I would surely be intimidated by how tall they are. So other teams take note of maybe the 4th option be your intimidation factor.
Absolutely.
Mark Ruckman would be a great pick for that. There's so many different names right now that could be hard hitters. So actually, Jackson, I think this is the most entertaining part of the draft. We genuinely have no idea who will be picked. And so stay tuned, guys.
Absolutely. And I think it'll be really interesting to see these last 3 picks. I couldn't agree more, Sean, because this is where it's fun. Anything can happen. Americans still on the board here. That's something that I was not necessarily expecting. So something to keep your eyes on there. Ben Smith from England. If you want defense, I mean, kind of similar to Charlie Lee, not quite at that level, but a very defensive player, very attritional English squash player. Nick Matthew, James Wilstrop-esque marksman, like talent, and he's knocking on the door of the world top 50, about 10 or 20 spots outside of that. It'll be interesting to see if he goes here in the final 3 picks. And just looking up and down, a lot of former college squash players, in addition to Sam Sherrill, who, as MC Ryan Leslie said, was the winningest college squash player of all time. Let's go to him. Who's going to join Timmy Brownell?
Here we go. The Nashville Crushers. 4th and final pick. From Colombia, reaching a highest world rank of number 70, Ronald Palomino. There you have it. Team Nashville, make some noise. Timmy Brownell, Juan Vargas, Simon Herbert, and Ronald Palomino. Two picks left.
Jackson to round out that team. Ronald Palomino, one of the tallest players in the draft as well, as I was just talking about height intimidation factor. But regardless of the height, Ronald Palomino is an incredible player, has incredible hands, and his reach. I'm sure you can't even see where the ball is going with how he dominates the tee. But Jackson, how do you feel about this pick?
Yeah, and you have kind of the tall guys in Timmy Brownell, Ronald now, and then Simon Herbert. And then you also have a smaller individual in Juan Vargas, who is tenacious and as feisty as they come. So it's a good balance there for the Nashville Crushers, who have also acquired quite a nice team. And Timmy Brownell, who knows this format better than anyone else on the face of this planet, was heavily involved in the selection of his new teammates after going 3rd overall in the first round. So this is, in a way, in addition to Jonathan Dyke's team, it is Timmy Brownell's team as well. And these two have kind of worked together. We've seen them on camera chatting it up and then discussing who the best potential prospects would be. And I think that they've nailed this draft. Ronald's an outstanding player, derailed by injuries a little bit, but he's now back and he's ready to take on the National Squash League. And now we move on to the team that, as of right now, we think is winning this draft collectively, Sean. It is the Derby Colts out of Louisville. Victor Cruin, 2nd overall, a bit of a steal for Louisville. And then we have Charlie Lee and Veer Chotrani. Charlie, an established player on the PSA World Tour, 25 years old. Injury issues have derailed his PSA ranking, but is certainly playing at a top 40 level, even though his ranking doesn't reflect that right now. A guy that has a win recently over Mohamed El-Sharbagi. And then you have Veer Chotrani, currently by far the best player in college squash, hasn't lost a CSA match yet this year. This is quite a stacked team. Where do you think they should go to finish things out in round 4?
My goodness, Jackson, I really don't know what this last pick, who they're going to have. There's, still so many good names right now. One name in particular is Shah Jahan Khan. I'm surprised he still hasn't been picked, as you mentioned earlier about how much of a fan you are of his game. But I really don't know what's going to happen in this game. I'm already an incredible team, but Jackson, what do you think?
Yeah, I would
leftover names right now.
I would have to agree with you. Shah Jahan Khan is easily the highest ranked player left on the board. A guy that has slipped a little bit in the last year, but has reached a world ranking as high as 25, still in that top 50, still one of the top players from the United States. And another name still on the board, Faraz Khan. Faraz Khan, a guy, as you told me earlier off the air, Sean, is a guy that kind of figured things out later in his career and kind of had a rise later on than perhaps most of the most talented, younger, up-and-coming U.S. players. And Faraz Khan, quite an enigma. It'll be really interesting to see if either of those two are picked in the final 2 selections between Louisville and Atlanta here. Really interesting stuff. And I can't wait to see who the Derby Colts pick to round out their team. They have an excellent opportunity to win this draft, Sean. And it sounds like the pick is in. We are going to go back down to the green room. We are going to go back down to MC Ryan Leslie to announce pick number 23 out of 24 here at the 2024 National Squash League Draft.
All right, here we go. Second to last pick. This is the 4th and final pick for the Derby City Colts. Pretty much representing Louisville here. Anybody from Louisville? Anybody from Louisville? Come on, make some noise. And with the fourth and final pick, thank you very much, Claire. Wouldn't be able to do this without you. Bye. The Derby City Colts select from the United States of America, currently ranked somewhere in the top 60, 44 to be honest, Shah Jahan the Chef. That completes the Derby City Colts. Victor Cruin, Charlie Lee, Veer Chotrani, and Shah Jahan Khan. We will be right back. Final pick. The squad league now out. Following the dude. The Atlanta Tornadoes. We will be back. 3 minutes on the clock, Atlanta. 3 minutes.
Mr. Irrelevant.
Sean, I don't know if it's even up for dispute here. I think it's crystal cut and clear who has won this draft here tonight. It is the Derby City Colts, as we are awaiting Mr. Irrelevant with the final pick. But talking about the team coming up here for Louisville, I mean, star-studded, and a guy like Shah Jahan Khan, who is Pakistani initially and has switched his allegiance to the United States, trains at the Auto Inspector Center with Timmy Brownell and Spencer Lovejoy on a daily basis under head coach Ong Beng-hee, and he has found a lot of success in his career thus far. A couple of years older than Timmy and Spencer, but still just reaching his prime right now. And he's had a rough year, but I think in the NSL format, I think he will find success. Very solid, very stubborn, very hard to break down. He's going to be outstanding when it comes to power play defense. I think that this is a great pick to round out what is already a fantastic roster for the Derby City Colts.
I can agree more with you, Jackson. An incredible mover, Shah Jahan Khan, slick line hitter. If you want consistency and stability, Shah Jahan Khan is your guy. And in terms of just defense, and yesterday I cannot stress enough, as someone who witnessed the NSL in action, was more surprised that how important defense is about being able to absorb the pressure during power plays. And to have someone like Shah Jahan Khan defend against these attacking players in the draft, I think he's a wonderful pick, and I'm actually surprised it took them this long to pick him. So what a great team they've crafted here. So fascinated, Jackson, on the final pick of the night.
Yeah, Sean, we mentioned at the beginning of this broadcast that there were 25 players that were ranked top 100 in the world in this NSL draft pool. However, a plethora of top 100 names still remain. Faraz Khan, Ben Smith, Ivan Perez, Joseph White, I believe that rounds out our names not in the top, or that are in the top 100, as well as Jeremiah Azana from Argentina. Azania. I see the little squiggly at the top of that. And I'm sorry, I don't know what is that called. The little squiggly on the. I know accent mark. It's not the accent mark. It's the. So I'm pronouncing the N. Azania. So yeah, I'm not familiar with Jeremiah.
Jeremiah is also, recently took Nathan Lake to 5, and he's based in Florida. I wouldn't be surprised if he is the final pick of the day. And in terms of availability, in terms of, recent successes he had, I was incredibly impressed with his performance against Nathan Lake. Nathan Lake is not someone you can pull upset off. He's usually someone who's, if you're lower than him in the rankings, he makes quick work of. And the fact that Jeremiah was able to push him, it speaks volumes to his game and also the work he's been doing down in Florida. Everyone in Florida seems to be succeeding under Wada El-Hindi. So I'm really interested to see, given that he's in the top 100, if he will be the final pick of the night. But still, Jackson, there are so many names.
And that is funny because I did not remember Jeremiah's name, but I did watch that match at Kinetic, and it was a home tournament for him at the Gold event that Kinetic held at the end of last year. And I watched Nathan play that match, as I regularly do. And like you said, when it comes down to players not ranked in that top 30, it's tough to get a game or two off Nathan. He is really solid against players ranked below him. And even this year has had a career year, picking up big wins over Mohamed El-Sherbini and guys ranked at the top of the rankings as well. So it's been a great year for Nathan, a career high ranking of 23. And to push him to 5, that's a great accomplishment as well. And a lot of great names still on the board here in the top 100 and not, as we are getting set for the final pick. Mr. Irrelevant coming here at the first ever NSL draft. And we have a special treat. It looks like Mr. Fernando is going to be announcing the final pick.
Pick of the inaugural National Squash League Draft. I am joined here by co-owner and league commissioner Fernando Valdezan.
Thank you, Ryan. Thank you, Claire, for these so few words. Okay. You can talk. Again, my name is Fernando Valdezan, and I'm the commissioner of the NSL. Myself, along with Timmy Brownell and Spencer Lovejoy, came up with this idea. Hopefully everybody's enjoyed this weekend in the exhibitions and the draft that we've put together today. We've just came up with it. And so we're going to try to keep doing better, bigger things. And hopefully you guys have enjoyed everything we've done so far. Firstly, I want to thank my wife and son because they weren't able to be here. My son, Trey, is sick. And so hopefully he's asleep. But when he watches this back, love you. And hopefully you feel better, buddy. And I'll see you tomorrow. And Lou, thank you for supporting me in this idea because you could have said no. And when I said I'm going to start a professional league, and she supported me the whole way. Again, Timmy and Spence, thank you so much for believing in this idea. Because, these guys are so busy as it is training for USA, PSA, and the fact that they have taken their own time to come up with this with me and put all their effort, and love you guys for doing that with me. Thank you so much. Last year we did a beta match between Louisville and Chicago, and thank you to Doug Grissom and Sam Aguiar, who's not here for, again, same thing. I pitched them the idea and they could have said no and they didn't. And so that's why we're here today. And so thank you very much for believing in the idea to start. Lee Scott for, same thing, going on this ride with us because he's so good at putting events together. And this was so new, and then just taking time out of his day to be like, okay, let's do it. So thank you so much, Lee. And then Jonathan, who just left. I know we're getting late into this. Watch it back, Jonathan. Thanks so much for, once we came to the idea, and his whole thing was, let's keep going big, everything professional, everything top notch. Let's not cut any corners, and that's what we're going to do. We're going to keep getting bigger and better and putting out the best product possible. And Jonathan's a big part of that. So thank you, Jonathan, for being there for us. And then this weekend, Dylan Cunningham, I don't think he slept in a week. So he might be, there he is. So thank you, Dylan, and the NBA team for having us this weekend and just being there for everything. And again, just the time that you guys have put into this, man, same thing for ProFly Productions, who has put on this event. Literally, everything we're doing is first time. So, they're having to figure this out on the fly. And just think about what we're going to do next year and the year after that. It's going to be incredible. So, just thank you guys for being a partner with us. Thank you. Same goes with our sponsors, Honeywick, Jeff, and your wife. Thank you so much, Diane, for believing in this product, putting all the time. And every time I'm texting you hey, we need this done in 30 minutes. You guys don't complain. You do it, and you guys are doing an amazing job. Shout out to J Press. They get a lot of fly gear for our players and make them look good. So J Press, thank you very much for making this look professional, our players. And we're very excited to continue this collaboration with you guys. U.S. Squash for being supportive of this venture as well. Again, the finals is going to be at the Spectre Center. It's going to be crazy. So everybody, please come to Philly June 21st for that weekend. It's going to be an amazing, amazing event. 1 second, Claire. And then for all the other workers that work this weekend, Ashby, thank you very much for all the work you've put into this weekend. Lee again, Nicola, thank you very much for all the work that you've done this weekend. Shane, I know you were doing a lot of stuff this weekend. Everybody else, Jackson and Sean for the commentary. They were planning, prepping, all the work that they've done. Rahul, thank you for reffing. And again, this is a players' league, so thank you for all the players that came this weekend. And all the players that are playing this season. And again, if you didn't get picked, be ready because you're on the waiver wire. if something happens to one of our players, you're going to be playing. And if it's not this year, it's next year. So we're going to grow. Next year, we're going to go to more teams. Next year, we're going to have women. And we're just going to keep getting bigger and better. So be ready. When your name is called, you're going to be playing for one of these teams in one of these cities. And the owners, finally, because without you guys, we wouldn't have been able to do this. So thank you to all the owners. Chad, I still stick around. Doug, David, Galen, Leonette, everybody who's here for the owners. Thank you very much for being a part of this. And then finally, the fans. Like, squash people are amazing. You guys are the best. Squash fans are the craziest. And you guys always show out. So thank you very much for supporting this idea. Claire, do you have one thing to say?
Squash day. Squash party good time.
Awesome. All right. And with that said, here's the last pick of the draft.
And now our final pick of the evening from the Atlanta Tornadoes.
Nice. Good job.
Thank you, Claire. Yes, as my esteemed, trusted colleague has said, we are here for the final pick. But also one more shout out. He didn't say anything about himself, but Fernando Valdezon, one more round of applause for putting all of this together and making this idea come to light. And now, with that said, as Claire just alluded to, the final pick of the inaugural National Squash League draft heading to the Atlanta Tornadoes. World ranked number 93 from Argentina, Hermes Azana. Well, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. 6 cities, 4 people per team, as Fernando alluded to. Everyone else that didn't get picked, be ready to answer that phone call because you could also be playing. Everyone, thank you for joining us this evening and this weekend. We couldn't have done it without you. And again, to all of our sponsors, to all of our owners, everyone, thank you all and have a great rest of your night here in Nashville, Tennessee.
Thank you everyone for coming this week.
We'll do it.
For Claire, everybody for Claire. One last time for Claire.
And there's Claire. And one event here in Nashville, Tennessee, Sean, it was an outstanding weekend. We had an outstanding exhibition last night. The man standing in front of me, ready to be interviewed, is a guy named Victor Kruin. He's one of the best squash players in the entire world. He showed out last night. He came here. He's dressed well in the J-Press hat and the J-Press sweater. We're ready to chat him up. And we had a great evening, and we had an exciting evening with picks, and it was not chalk. We didn't go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 based on the PSA rankings. The owners really considered the fact that the NSL format is different and is faster paced than what we're going to get from the PSA. They took into account the clock, the power plays on offense, on defense, all of the different ways that the NSL is different, and that is why we had a very exciting draft with lots of surprising moments. And what a pleasure it was to sit here and call the action with you, Sean.
Wow, what a pleasure that was. What an evening that was. I'm just so glad. But more importantly, let's get the main character on the show here looking fresh, Victor Kruin.
And here comes the number 2 overall pick. Victor, what's going on? Congratulations. The first ever member of the Derby City Colts. You'll be joining Mr. Lee Scott. I'm sure you chatted with him in Louisville at the Louisville Boat Club this season. And yeah, the Derby City Colts are lucky to have you. We talked about it on the broadcast, Sean and I. We thought Derby City had the best draft by far. I mean, Victor, you were the number 1 player on both of our boards. I had Charlie Lee number 6, and you guys are able to get you got yourself at number 2, and then you got Charlie at number 11, which was a steal. Veer Shotrani, a guy that I think is playing at a top 50 level, is undefeated in college squash this year, and is going to show out for you guys, and is a great offensive and defensive player. And then in the 4th round with the second to last pick, to get a guy that's ranked in the top 50, a year ago at this time was ranked in the top 30, Shahjahan Khan. I mean, you guys killed it. First of all, I want to know, were you a part of the decision-making process? Were you a part of selecting those last 3 picks? And then what do you think of your team and how you guys are going to fare in the upcoming NSL season?
Yeah, thanks for having me here.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, we talked throughout the draft about who we wanted to pick. I try and help my team to get the best players. So obviously I gave a little bit of input, but I think the teams were trying to be safe and pick the players who played this weekend or played last year this format, because it's a bit difficult to know how the players are going to react to this new format. So that's what was going on in all our head, I think. But yeah, it was a tiring evening trying to make our team. But yeah, I'm happy about where we are. The players that they drafted to be my teammates. As you say, I think it's a good team. We've got some good defensive and offensive players, so it should be a fun season.
Victor, I got to ask, as someone who's played the format yesterday, I want to ask you two-part question. What was one thing that threw you off about this format? And two, what do you think is the most important thing to note about this format?
I think the biggest adjustment for players will be the stop and go. The fact that you have to go on court and you can't really warm up. You just have to. I mean, I try many different things to warm up in between.
So you jump rope in a little bit.
Yeah. Just to jump rope and just trying to stay fresh. But the adrenaline is just so high that it's hard to kind of stay composed. You want to watch your teammate, help your manager kind of get the strategy right. So everything's new for everybody. So stop and go is a tough adjustment, I think. And then the power play, obviously. I think there were some power play this weekend that were very, very well played, and some that were just not very helpful. We also realized that power play could kind of be a defensive play. They're trying to just make sure you get a few points, but more importantly, you don't lose any points during 2 minutes. So you just trying to save some time, run the clock. So it'll be interesting to see. I mean, the season's going to be short. It's only 2 matches before the playoffs, so you
better perform. You better perform.
Yeah, you better perform quick. And that's going to be the main driver, I think, trying to brief all our players so that we can perform from the first weekend.
Victor, there's one more thing that I want to ask you about, and I'll let Sean finish up. But I've noticed something. We talked about it tonight. We talked about it last week on the first episode of NSL Talk, and I've noticed something in your game this year where a couple great results. You made it to the semifinals of the Tournament of Champions. You beat Paul Cole in straight games, and you made it to the quarterfinals of the Windy City Open last week. And you've always been so foundationally solid, such a great straight line hitter, and you're mentally so strong, you're so fit. But you've added this element to your game that I've seen where I feel like you're playing that trickle boast a little bit more now, and you're hitting more cross courts, and you've opened the court up. You're moving your opponents around the court a lot more, and you're playing a lot more free-flowing squash. It's been really beautiful to watch your development as one of the best players in college squash, if not the best player in college squash over the course of your time at Harvard, and then your early days of the PSA Tour and how your game has evolved. Can you speak to that and kind of some of the conscious choices that you've made over the course of the last year to improve tactically as you have?
Yeah, I mean, I think I've always had a very structured game, trying to keep the ball down the lines and not giving too many angles, and that got me into top 8. And I think to go further up, I need to just use more angles, as you say, trickle post, but also just cross courts. I think I've been playing on the backhand side for a long time now, and I'm trying to kind of use both sides a bit more. So yeah, I feel like that got me some great wins, but the consistency has been not as good as it used to in the past. So I've also had some tough losses. So obviously that's something that I'm gonna have to figure out quick. But yeah, it's been a great season. I still feel like I'm improving my game, even though I'm not at my highest ranking, and I think that's the most important thing right now.
Absolutely.
Yeah, no, glad to have you back playing your best right now these past couple months. So I don't want to take too much of your time. I know that you want to take advantage of that beautiful open bar going on over there. So why don't we let you go and wrap up? I'm just glad we have you more on the stateside since your graduation, because I know how much you love being back at home. So Victor, thank you for joining us.
Thank you, guys. Yeah,
thanks, Victor, for taking the time. Absolute pleasure
Yeah.
to chat. And the newest member of the Derby City Colts and one of the top players in the National Squash League, one of the top players in the world. It is Victor Krohn. Thank you, Victor, for joining us. As entering now the production room It is another man sporting a beautiful J-Press hat, looking perhaps the spiffiest of any of the prospects this evening with the, I don't know, it's a beautiful sweater buttering you up.
I don't need that. I don't need that for my ego. My ego's
as
already
if
big
he
enough.
is actually personally sponsored by J-Press. It's something about it that seems more fitting than the other players. But welcome to the studio.
Thank you, guys. Thank you for having me.
Such a well-groomed beard, such a handsome young man. It's an absolute pleasure.
You guys are killing me with the compliments tonight.
Joining us in the studio. So Spencer, I got to ask you, as you went kind of in the early second round, and our analysis of that was, you're someone that wasn't necessarily, in terms of PSA ranking, in the top 10 in terms of prospects, but you're someone that this, along with Timmy, this is your brainchild. This is what you guys have built, and you literally, not only do you know the rules like the back of your hand, you wrote the rules for this league. So, I mean, in terms of the IQ, you're already a very smart player. You're already an incredibly hard worker and scrappy and physical player. We saw it yesterday with the defense on the power play. Early on in that first period, how well you handled this NSL format, but you also are so familiar with the rules and are so, you care so much not only about the success of this league, but of the success of your team. So obviously you went higher than expected, and for Sean and I, it was a great pick. I think it's great value for you to go number 8 and for you to be a member now of the Newport Dragons, and you also got that beautiful bottle of wine from Mr. Dykes. So can you speak about being a member of the Newport Dragons and just this whole night as a whole? Did it live up to your expectations?
Yeah, I mean, obviously the bottle of wine was a plus, but honored to be a part of the Newport Dragons and go number 8 overall. Super special first draft in this format. As you guys saw in the match, it's not all about PSA ranking out there. The underdogs, the USA team, came through despite being significantly lower ranked than the opposing team, Team World, which comprised of 3 top 30 players. So it really is about how you construct your team, and it was just so cool tonight to see the owners all collaborating and trying to build their teams out there. I thought that was such a cool aspect of the whole thing, because once I got picked, I came upstairs and the owners were collaborating with the players that had already been picked, and they were communicating with the other owners, like, who are you guys going to pick? All right. Jockeying for different players, trying to build their team to the best of their ability, trying to find guys that, they liked firstly that are going to represent their team well, guys who are going to be team players, guys who are going to, like you said, know the scoring system well. I've had significantly more experience playing this format than other players, obviously playing the Louisville beta match last year, as well as the 2 matches this weekend. Obviously I have skin in the game. Being one of the founding members of this league, and it's just really cool to see it, how much it's grown since last year. I'm really happy with the product that we have going, and I'm really excited to see where it goes.
Spencer, that's wonderful. Well said. Well put. Spencer, one question I have. What do you think about your teammates?
Honestly, I think that Bear did a great job drafting his team. Bramit first, obviously a very skillful player, very smooth on the court, has so many assets that we can use. Myself, good defender, good competitor. Obviously I have the knowledge of the scoring system and the tactics down. And then at number 3, picking up Sanjay Jiva, I thought was a great pick for us because he's significantly lower on the draft board, but in my opinion has some really big assets for power plays. He's firstly very, very explosive, very, very fast racket head speed, as well as very rapid in his retrievals. So he can play both offense and defense. I think he's one of the rising players. He's working with Rodney Martin. He's putting in a lot of work on tour. He's gotten a lot of good wins on PSA. So I think he's going to be a really great addition to our team. And then picking up TJ at number 4 was awesome for us. He's a hometown boy in Newport. He's going to bring out the crowd. He's going to get the juices flowing at the home match. So we're really excited to have him on the team. Obviously, he's one of my teammates in high school and college. So we go way back, and I couldn't be more happy to have him on our team. So,
well, Spencer, there you have it, guys. Spencer, thank you for joining the studio. I'm going to have you get back to that bottled wine that you're going to. By the way, what do you think? Have you drank this with that wine?
I have, and honestly, that St. George wine, Bear has his own vineyard out in California, and that wine is absolutely top notch. If you haven't tried it, you should.
St. George. And what are you? Last question: are you a red or a white guy? What do you say?
Honestly, I can go red. I'd go red.
Okay, red. That's
go
what
red.
you got.
And I got the red hat, so we're going
for
red.
his team colors. Well, Spencer, thank you for joining the studio.
And an
Appreciate
advocate
it.
of the Denison huge red as well.
Big
So
fan of the huge red.
we got a red and red guy over here.
Thank you guys for all your hard work tonight.
Oh, Spencer, thank you for having us. It was an absolute pleasure. And cheers. Thank you very much. Spencer Lovejoy, off he goes as we begin to wrap up tonight's coverage of the NSL Draft. We have one final conversation for you. The man, the myth, the legend. It is Timbo Slice, Slim Tim, Timmy Brownell, once again with a similarly stunning J-Press hat and an absolutely dapper sweater with the tie underneath. The Boston Red Sox. He's representing his hometown, but he is heading right back here to Nashville in just over a month. The newest member, or not the newest, I guess, the first ever member of the Nashville Crushers. That's Timmy Brownell. Timmy, this night is a lot of hard work and dedication over the course of not just the last several weeks and months, but over the course of really the last 9 or so months since that first beta match in Louisville at the Louisville Boat Club. And now we're here. Did tonight live up to your expectations? And how do you feel now that this weekend is coming to a close?
It's the fruit of a lot of labor, and I think it's just what a dream to see it come to fruition. Seeing everyone, seeing all the faces, the energy's been amazing. And I just had someone ask me, they were like, could you ever have thought it would be this successful? We're just getting started, but they're like, can you imagine that it would have been like this? And I said, not until we had that beta match, not until we saw how people received it in the live sphere. And the energy tonight was just unbelievable. You saw Yusuf walk up the stairs, the first overall pick. I don't know if you guys could hear it through the mics, but the crowd went crazy. And Yusuf went up there and he said he had goosebumps. And he's, who would have thought? It just brought the emotions you see in other live sports, and that's what we've been trying to capture, because we know that squash has it and it deserves it, and just hasn't been shown in the way it can be. So we're just doing everything that we can, and we're going to keep working so hard to try to bring squash to the public in the best way. And we think this is just the start of something way bigger. And I'm so happy that you guys were here for this weekend. I know you guys are both busy. It was college nationals. I'm sure your phones are blowing up, but to have you guys here and then put on the show you guys did. This is a long show. You guys knocked it out of the park. I have over 150 messages on my phone in the last 3 hours, and people are saying you guys are hitting it out of the park. So thank you, boys, for doing this. It's been a dream.
It's been a pleasure for us as well.
Well, nice words from Timmy. But Timmy, before I let you go,
give us a little breakdown of your team.
Oh, our team, we're loaded. We're locked and loaded. I was talking to Jonathan. I don't want to keep you guys here too long. I could go in all day. Jonathan was just,
come on.
So
Bring it in.
The second he drafted me, he's like, okay, you're going in GM role right now. Like, what are we looking at? Because he had some ideas as well, but there were some real studs that weren't getting looks at, like Juan Vargas not getting looked. I was like, oh my God, what a sleeper. And then Herbert, he's a gunslinger. I've talked to him before the draft as well. He's someone, he's like, you got to look at me late in the rounds, because he's been following. He's hungry to play. And I know he's someone who's going to show up and give his best. He's dynamic. So I think Herbert could be the steal of the draft in the third round. And then people are not talking about this. Getting players that already know each other and are friends, maybe you guys brought this up in the stream, is going to be a massive plus. Chemistry, knowing when they're tired, when to sub, who's going to take over, who's going to take the weight. So getting Ronald Palomino in the fourth round could be an absolute game changer for us. Because if something happens and he has to step up, him and Wonka together, they've won gold medals together. And there's no substitute for the chemistry they have. They've built that up over years and years. And I was talking to Matthias Knudsen out there, another Colombian, and he was like, gosh, I'm pretty pissed off you guys got Palomino, because they were going to take him the next pick. And so, anyway, I'm over the moon with our team. I think on paper, we are as strong as any of the teams. I think, I don't want to get ahead of ourselves here, but we are a contender. Well, hopefully we'll see you at the Spiker Center for the finals, right?
That's the plan. I mean, come on. A couple train stops down from my apartment, easy peasy. But Jonathan, our owner, he's fired up, and he's in it to win it. He's not here to mess around. And I think the energy we saw from the owners, I was blown away. That the second everyone showed up on Friday, they were immediately like, wow, this is real. And they were starting to do their research. And the picks today, a lot of thought went into all of them. Some players might have had lower rankings or higher rankings, but all the picks meant something to some of the owners. No, none of them were cavalier. So I would say I'm looking forward to see how these rosters shake out, and I cannot wait to see the reaction of everyone over the next couple of days. And come on, NSL Talk Week 2, I cannot wait for that episode. It's going to be fire. So you guys better be cooking up.
We have much to discuss, and the finals, June 21st at the Arnold Specter Center in Philadelphia. Don't miss them. NSLsports.com for all things NSL. And Timmy, I have to say this to you, is I've interviewed you and had the absolute pleasure of doing so on a number of occasions, whether it's been just you or Spencer's come on, and this is close to half a dozen times now. And every time we've talked about one thing, about how it sometimes bugs you that in the game of professional squash, we have so many great characters and so many great human beings that don't necessarily get marketed the way that they should be, and that don't necessarily get promoted or exhibited in the light that they should be. And you have always talked about how you wish this was not the case, and you have done something about it. And I commend and applaud you for that. And I thank you for that. And I speak for hopefully Sean as well. We can't thank you enough for doing it and for this opportunity. So thank you so much. And it's been an unbelievable past couple days here in Nashville. So thank you very much.
Let's go, boys. Start us something new. Let's build it. Thanks for joining us.
Absolutely. Let's do it.
And thank you for everyone for joining in the live stream with the first ever draft. Incredible atmosphere here, and cannot wait how the season pans out.
It's going to be a lot of fun. You guys can find Talk NSL, Sean and I's show about the National Squash League, on the Rally Report podcast feed and on YouTube, as well as the Bragman Breakdown podcast feed, streaming wherever you get your podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, etc. There's going to be a lot to talk about this week, and I can't wait to break it all down even more in depth with Sean. As we said, the finals, Arlen Specter Center, June 21st. The matches are going to begin in mid to late April for the regular season amongst the 6 teams. So once again, head to the NSL website for updates on that. What a pleasure this whole weekend has been. It's been a lot of fun. And as we sign out, for Sean Choi, my name is Jackson Bragman. Thank you so much for joining us, and we will see you guys at the finals at Specter Center.
Thanks, Jackson. For the NSL, with how the season's going to pan out between matches and how the playoffs are going to work, as well as the finals, as my co-commentator Jackson dives into it. But guys, really excited. I'm just happy that this evening was such a successful night. But let's get into how the breakdown of the schedule is going to be. Jackson, do you have the schedule up for us?
Yeah, I am getting it pulled up right here. Week 1 is going to be a premier event. No other matches taking place that weekend. It will be Louisville at Atlanta. So that is going to be the first match of the season. April 26th, you can once again get tickets for that at nslsport.com. Week 2, we have a bunch of matches. 2 rather. I'm sorry, I was getting ahead of myself. We have 2 matches for week 2 that will take place Friday, May 3rd. It will be Atlanta at Nashville. So Atlanta in action the first 2 weeks. Right back here in Nashville, Tennessee at Montgomery Bell Academy. The Nashville Crushers, Timmy Brownell and company, are going to play host to Yusuf Ibrahim and the Atlanta Hurricanes, or rather Tornadoes, and Chicago will head to Newport that week as well. Week 3 will feature Nashville at Louisville, as well as New York City at Chicago. Week 4, Newport at New York City, and things will all wrap up after the 6 regular season matchups amongst the 6 teams in the regular season with the NSL Championship, the final match at the Arlen Specter Center, 9 p.m. under the lights, Friday night, the 21st of June. So mark your calendars, and once again, buy tickets at nslsport.com, and we can't wait for that. And before we get out of here, a special treat. We are joined by 2 of the NSL's most star-studded prospects. To my left, we have the first overall pick, the man from Cairo, Egypt. It is Yusuf Ibrahim. And then we have to my right, one of the biggest surprises of the draft for the general public, but for Sean and I, it wasn't a big surprise to see Matthias Knudsen off the board at number 9 overall. Gentlemen, thank you for joining us at the desk as we're concluding the broadcast. And I want to start with you, Yusuf. The first pick in the history of the National Squash League. We just talked to Timmy. He said that you told him you had goosebumps going onto the stage to accept being selected first overall. I mean, and this is history. I mean, this is a league that we anticipate having a long, long run over the course of the next several decades. And to be the first overall pick in the history of the NSL, what does that mean to you?
Yeah, I mean, thanks for having us. Obviously, it's great to be here with you guys. I've been doing a really great job so far. So yeah, I mean, it's really special. I feel like this league has already started in a lot of fun, you know, of having all the guys here and playing the exhibition yesterday and having all those people show up and, you know, cheering on. It definitely has room to grow more. It's a big day for, you know, a bigger project, hopefully in the next couple of years, and I'm sure it's going to grow a lot more and attract a lot more audience in the future. So, yeah, to be the first pick, it feels really good. It feels special. Hopefully, we'll get some good matches in the next couple of months and entertain all those people who are invested in this project. And yeah, I'm excited to play. As I said, I've never been to Atlanta, so it's also excited for me to go to a new state, a new city in the U.S. and new people there. So yeah, really excited for it.
I mean, Yusuf, one thing I got to say is it takes players like you signing on to the programs like this of top-notch quality like you who we know your level could be in the top 10 without a doubt. So it's really a great thing that you've committed to the NSL. But I'm going to switch it over there to Matthias Nitset over there. Matthias, I have one question. I saw over in the camera, you were so involved in the GM process, it seems, as soon as you got picked. It seemed like hurry. I know you were downing the beers, but more importantly, I know you were looking at the papers and players. But just walk us through a little bit about what your thought process was, or even if you were involved in that process, and how you feel about your teammates.
Yeah, so I got asked for advice. Obviously, there's no one that knows the players better than the players, So I think it was a smart idea. I think after me came Rory Stewart, which is I find that absurd. Rory is way too good at squash to be at number 3, so I think that's a steal, and he's gonna be incredibly important for our team. And then we got a guy that I would say he's underrated, but I think most people here know him, so they will know that he's not, because he doesn't play pro or anything. But Sam Sherrill, as you guys said, winningest player of all time in college men's, I think, history, if not. The guy can win a match. I grew up with him in juniors. He would win all the time, everything. So he's a guy that we would want, and also a guy that lives in New York. So it ended up being perfect for us. I think the picks ended up being as good as we could have got him.
Yeah, but here's one thing I was saying before you picked Sam Sherrill. Wow, what a tall team they got selected.
Yeah, we're actually talking about it. I'm joking with the owners and everything. It's yeah, you're really going for wingspan here. Let's say, Rory. It's not usual that in a squash team I'm not the tallest, because I'm obviously part of the taller players on tour. Auguste is also really tall, so it's gonna be fun to see how it works out. Yeah, I hope that for your next trick shot, you're able to get Auguste, Rory, and Sam maybe involved, maybe everyone in a different corner, and figure that out on the Instagram. So I look forward to that. It's actually fun that you mentioned it, because the next trick shot's going to come up very soon, and it's worked out really. Plug the Instagram. Look at the hard camera. Tell them where they can find your trick shots. The Instagram handle is at M Knudsen, like my last name, and then another M for my second last name. And it's actually worked out perfect because it's with no one else but the Golden Boy. So we got it together this weekend.
Realize Ali Abu got replaced that easily.
I was gonna say is you had the best I'd ever seen with Ali, and then he had to take the crown right back 3 days later. That was ridiculous. So he's winning all the tournaments, going to all. So I'm trying to take the crown in this now until I can join him on the tour and battle with him hopefully soon. But yeah, hopefully you guys can see it and enjoy it. Give it some love if you like it.
Awesome. But yeah, what an evening this was. What a long evening it was. But thank you for everyone joining us. And obviously these players, it's all about the players here. So guys, we're going to wrap it up there, folks. Well, thanks for joining the live stream and the first ever draft.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you guys.